Oh, actually... So, yeah, 3... Trial Part 1. Alright, let's get back to it. Also, there's like another thing going on the side on my Discord for Grand Blue stuff, so also keeping an eye on that. I can't believe it's been 6 months since I was last allowed to work in court. And now here I am, back at the Old Bailey. Ah, but Mr. Naruhodo. Good morning, Professor Hairbrain. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. The atmospheric pressure in here is off the charts. I've never felt anything like it. It's crushing me. I feel it every time I'm here. That gravity. Oh, this is heavy. Well, this is Britain's highest court. Are you telling me it's fitted with some kind of device that can actually control air pressure? I think it's probably all in the mind. Ah, yes, well, you won't let me down, will you, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I don't know about that. I'm counting on you in today's trial to save my life! To save the secret of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine from being made public. Yes, I understand. I know what I have to do. I have to establish that explosion 2 days ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Well, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail. Huh? My commiserations, Mr. Naruhodo. You appear to have been lumbered with the most tiresome case here. That's Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes? I didn't expect to see you here. That was very mean, Runo, leaving me alone at home with Hurley. It took me at least an hour to wake him up. Are you... Herlock Sholmes! Indeed, sir. I am he, Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I've heard all about your exploits even whilst living in Germany. Ah, yes. Rand's magazine is on sale in Germany too. This month's installment was sublime. Your deduction in the Adventure of Silver Blaze was wonderful. Ah, yes, a memorable case indeed. It concerned a snake, I seem to recall. No, that was the Speckled Band. Well, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your support. I'm sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow, but I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh, I have urgent business at Madame Tuspel's. You mean your waxwork job? No, the waxwork abduction, of course. Madam has engaged my services. Oh, so you're trying to get to the bottom of that ransom note, are you? The week's wages depend on it, as does the safe return of the waxwork, naturally. As such, I intend to give it my undivided attention. Oh, well, never mind then. I understand. Of course. With my skills of observation and reasoning, resolving the matter will be as easy as proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. For until I solve the case, I shall have no money to afford a pie of any description. Oh, then you must absolutely give it your full attention, Hurley. Quite, Iris, quite. But life is riddled with irony, you know. Whenever I give something my full attention, I have a quite insatiable desire for a pie. One of the universe's intractable mysteries, you might say. Oh yes, quite. Definitely, absolutely. I totally understand. Is someone a little starstruck? Oh wait, hold on. Let me bring something up real quick. Just on the side. Hold on. Just want to get something ready in case like my Crow and Granblue want me to come in and do something. There we go. I wish you the very best of luck, Professor Harebrain. Oh, ooh, why thank you. Before I depart, Mr. Naruhodo, a word in your ear if you please. What's this about? As you have remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as this super high voltage instantaneous kinesis hypothesis may be, a practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. But the professor said the demonstration was a success. Yes, it would appear that he fervently believes it was. I've read Professor Bunnybrain's paper about it too, Runa, and I have to say, I'm sure it can't be done. It could barely be done theoretically, let alone practically. So he's completely barking up the wrong tree? But how can an experiment that had no possibility of succeeding, in fact succeed? That's quite contradictory. And it's that contradiction that will be at the heart of the trial. I have no doubt. What's that supposed to mean? Oh, hold on. One of those things where I see like a spawn on my monitor. And there we go. Now, I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow. See you later, Hurley. Well, it looks like you're on your own today, Runo, but chin up. You can do it. Oh, what about you, Iris? No, I'm afraid I can't help. I have something I need to do. I see. It's gonna be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is. That sounds ominous. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Make your way into the courtroom at once. We're on our way. An experiment that the laws of science, an experiment the laws of science can't possibly succeed. And a scientist who's convinced that it did. That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Ryunosuke. That's the key to this case. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Harebrain. I now call upon the counsel for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. I'm 6 months out of practice, and what's more, I'm without Susato-san today. Is it just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual? So, I must say I recollect the victim of this case all too well, Mr. Audi Asman. Mr. Asman was well known as a financier, though that was merely a front for his diverse criminal activities. It was only a month ago that man appeared in court prosecuted by you, Lord Van Zieks. But the jury unanimously found him not guilty, because every member of the jury had been bribed by the sound of it. These powerful London criminals are prepared to go to extreme lengths to keep their freedom. But 2 days ago, on the 21st of October, Mr. Asman met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it? If that is how your lordship would describe divine retribution. But the fact remains that Mr. Asman's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrain. Very well then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people. Are the 6 of you ready to fulfill your societal duty? I'm most gratified to have been selected to carry out this important civic duty, my lord. To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly. It sent shivers down my spine. Science experiments, magic, conjuring tricks, courtroom trials. All are nothing more than performances. Any spurious scholar that defiles the reputation of science deserves to hang. We have to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence and settle on one. That's it, isn't it? Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all. That's the police killer Audible lookalike. Again. And he's as exhausted as ever, it seems. Now as I'm sure you're all well aware, the incident we are here to judge today The incident we are here to judge today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition, shortly after its opening. Though the death toll could have been far worse, with the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the spectators. A tragic turn of events. As such, the eyes of all London know, and the whole world will be on this trial. It is our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel. So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zieks. At the heart of this incident is technology never before demonstrated anywhere in the world. One of science's latest developments, I take it. The government is keen to capitalize on the Great Exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage. The technology being demonstrated by the accused was described as super high voltage, instantaneous kinesis. Good lord! It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity and beam them instantly to another location where they are subsequently reassembled. Is such a thing even possible, or is such a thing even within the realms of possibility? Well, I don't believe it. That's for sure. Disassembling people with electricity? My goodness, how shocking. Alright. Huh. The whole idea is absurd. The hypothesis will never stand at the scrutiny. Sir, I believe you are a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field. I am. And my word on the matter can be considered final. Instantaneous kinesis is poppycock. So this expert and Mr. Sholmes are in agreement. It's impossible. What is the prosecution's view on the matter? The prosecution would assert that the accused instantaneous kinesis demonstration. Wait, what? God damn! Oh shit! He believes! Even if he's prosecuting his own friend, he believes in him! Oh my god. But okay, let me read that again. That the accused instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success. What? What rot? Order! Order! The professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. If it is deemed to have merit, a substantial research grant will be made available. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Asmon's life, in order to be the sole benefactor of the grant. But... This disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim. Thank you, Lord Van Zieks. The prosecution's stance is clear. You will now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims. Gladly, my lord. Oh, cloak's off already. Bailiff, show the first witnesses to the stand. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. I was on duty at the demonstration on the day in question and in charge of the following investigation. Albert Harebrain, scientist. You were born in England but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? Yes, that's right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany and made an amazing discovery. Which is what brought me back. I had to demonstrate my incredible hypothesis at the Great Exhibition. What you demonstrated was incredible, alright. An incredible explosion. But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. Everyone saw it. They must have done. Yes, there was a terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success. Well, that much is undeniable, as shown in this photograph. Taken by the forensic investigation team. This was taken inside the Crystal Tower, I take it. The centerpiece of the exhibition, no less. That's right, my lord. Seems the victim rammed straight into it. I see. Well, very well. Submit the photograph as evidence. Well, as the courts heard, the victim of the incident was, Mr. Audie Osmond. There have been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being. He was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself. I see. So, to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct? Exactly. But couldn't it be that the explosion was caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for demonstration? That's right! That must be it! My splendid machine! My poor splendid machine! You saw it yesterday, didn't you? We can't even examine the record thanks to the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. What? The wreckage? The wreckage! But that being the case, how can the facts be established? How can it possibly be determined whether this was an accident or a deliberate and malicious act? Extremely simply, my lord. I beg your pardon? Isn't that right, witness? What? Sorry, me? Oh, wait, hold on, I'm being pinged. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, hold on. Crew and Grambly need me for something. Alright, I'll be back in just a minute to do this. I mean, I'll still stay here, obviously, but oh shit. Okay, hold on. I need to see if I can do this. Hey. There we go. Okay. Ooh, nice. Basically, someone in my crew in Granblue was helping, what was it? Was hosting a carry run for two of my crewmates are basically guildmates, and things got really questionable near the end. So I had to come in and help clean up like the last couple % of health. So hey, anyway, back to the trial. Sorry for the interruption. No, your neighbor. Oh, yes, sir. Awesome, man. For some reason, I can't remember how to get Gregson's like voice, because I remember I had like a certain voice. Although, listening back at the VOD, my voice doesn't really change as much as I think. Because like it's that whole thing where like when you listen to your own voice as you speak normally, like you know, like when you speak, and what was it? You hear your voice one way because the sound of your voice kind of like resounds through your skull or head in a different way, so that you hear your voice differently. But hearing it through a recording, quite different. I'm sure most people wouldn't. I would assume most people would know that already, but yeah, I'm like, man, I wish I had better range with my voice. But anyways, let me reread that. Yes, sir. It was murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state that with complete certainty. What? How can he possibly think that? Thank you, Inspector. I think we had better proceed to the formal testimony. You will explain to the court on what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a front for murder. The corpse that went crashing through the crystal tower had a broken neck. I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection, that's all. That was my mistake. But the post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. There was a lesion? There was a lesion? Lesion? You know what? This is like the first time I've ever. Okay, you know what? I'm pulling dictionary.com. But my vocab is pretty bad, and I want to see this. Hold on. Dictionary.com. How do you pronounce this for me? Lesion. Ah. You know, it's always interesting just seeing different words have basically the same meaning. Because it basically just means an injury or like a wound. I'm like, I don't know. That's always like something that's I keep thinking about when it comes to just vocab sometimes. I don't know. But anyways, let me reread that. There was a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart. So the victim was killed before he went anywhere, and this fellow's the only one who could have done it. Huh. An extraordinary business. Wait, why is my... Oh, whoops. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was also stabbed in the heart. Information I would really like to have heard from someone other than the judge. Well, the coroner says death would have been all but instant from a wound like that. You could say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused. No, that couldn't be further from the truth. I here have the experimentation plan document that was submitted to the security team. Well, the victim stood himself inside something called a bird cage, ready to be beamed instantly. To the second level of the Crystal Tower, about 25 yards away. The experiment did not go according to plan, however. As the machine was put into operation, there was a large explosion. The blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in mid-air, from where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the Crystal Tower's large round window. My word! One assumes the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower then. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. But honestly, really, I swear, it was just an accident, a terrible accident. Unfortunately, that excuse cannot save you. Yeah, not considering the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart. Murder weapon? What are you saying? This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. The prosecution would like it entered into the court record. Your request is granted, counsel. I was there in person, you know. I saw the whole ludicrous performance. And the only other person on stage with Mr. Asman was that disgraceful excuse for a scientist. Then really, by all accounts, it must have been him. Hard to think otherwise, really. Very well. Counsel for the defense. Proceed with a cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord. I need to focus here. It's been a while. Corpse that went crashing through the Crystal Tower had a broken neck. Hold it! Are you suggesting that's because he fell from a considerable height? Exactly, which highlights something about this whole realm business. What's that? The fact that the instantaneous kinesis itself was a success. Ah! Well, after the explosion, the cage with the fella inside suddenly appeared out of nowhere in midair. Although the experiment ended in disaster, so the so-called instantaneous kinesis did actually occur. Remind us, Professor, what was the cause of the fatal disaster? I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection, that's all, that was my mistake. Hold it! So the angle of the projection is critical, is it? And you calculated it yourself, personally. Absolutely. The calculation is far too complicated for anyone but me to carry out. Only you got it wrong, didn't you? Yes, that's right. That's the point. The calculation is so complicated, even I can make a mistake. People do fall for that brazen confidence. Or do people fall for that brazen confidence? I should try it. I took into account the subject's height and weight, the wind direction, and the ambient temperature. I considered every possible variable. I just don't understand how this could have happened. Obviously, then you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Asman was wearing at the same time, I suppose. Ah. Crackling comets! The answer should have been 3! So much for safety first. The 3 must be for safety third. Well, the post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. Whoops. Hold on. Hold it! Another fatal injury, you say? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, I didn't think I'd have to spell this out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose, does it? Too right. Obviously, at first we thought the bloke had died due to his spine snapping in half as well. Were you saying that's not the case? You'll get your answer once I finish my fish and chips. If you don't keep butting in every few seconds. But we all know that's a bottomless bag. The victim plummeted 30 feet into a glass tower. It would be reasonable to assume that as the cause of death. Right, that's what we all thought. But it was a red herring, wasn't it? There was a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart. So the victim was— oh, whoops. Hold it! The defense knew nothing of this crucial information. The prosecution received this report from the forensic investigation team only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere. Thanks. So, what was the nature of the sharp object? Among the accused tools that were in use at the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This. Ah, yes, that would appear to be some kind of screwdriver, wouldn't it, Counsel? Ah! Oh. Oh, it's like, aha! There he is! My trusty little companion, Andrew! Andrew? Andrew. Of course. Ah, do you know each other already? He's one of my dear friends, like all my tools. I've named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Sir, you are not helping your case here. Andrew's my flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother Michael is a crosshead. Do I have to keep reading this? Well, it would appear that your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank. Ah, that isn't... It's blood, beyond all reasonable doubt. No. Oh, that's not all. Long sharp shape of this Andrew fellow is completely consistent with the victim's wound. What? What? Rabble, 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 rabble. Order! Nicole will enter this friend of the defendant as evidence. So one of Professor Harebrain's tools is the murder weapon. Great. Hold it! Oh. Excuse me. Oh, wait. The crossbow? I've seen this unusually shaped handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor of the kinesis machine, which could be important information, so I should definitely make a note of it. This is blood. Mr. Asma's no doubt. This is the problem with looking at murder weapons. Huh. Hemorrhage. Sharp implement. Impact. Broken glass. A wound around the heart area. I don't see anything else here. Piece of green cloth. Did he have any? No. Not enough information. What grounds do you have for saying that? Huh. Do you really need to ask? There were only two people on that experimentation stage in front of the whole crowd. The victim, Mr. Odiasman, and the accused, Professor Harebrain. We know for certain that, before the experiment, the victim was alive. That's right, I saw it with my own eyes. Furthermore, following the explosion and kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body. Oh, in other words, only someone else on stage with... Great Scott. Only someone else on stage with the victim could possibly have done it.
Excuse me!
Excuse me. Professor Harebrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor! Ah, sorry. I was just calculating the optimum coefficient of electrolysis. What? To separate molecules in the human body. And the witness stand is the best place for that. It seemed as though you might have something to say about Inspector Gregson's last remark. Ah, yes, that's right. Of course. He just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he? Yeah, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, eh? I don't know, but there's no way that I could possibly have stabbed Mr. Asman as you say. Yeah. Explain, please, Professor. Well, of course. This cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals, with blood running continuously through their veins. I had heard. Then surely you see, if I plunged something the size of Andrew into the man's chest, the whole stage would have been a bloodbath. No, a blood-swimming pool. Ah. But thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. And yet not one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood. Sir. Well, couldn't you argue that the screwdriver could have plugged the wound? Although it was found back on the grill, so that's the extra question here. Well, no, I suppose not. You see, not one. True. I didn't see anything like that. Well done, Professor. That was a great counter-argument. Uh-oh. Pray forgive the discourtesy if I savor a drop from my hallowed chalice to accompany my old friends a-deucing. Okay, hold on. Hold on. You know the thing I mentioned earlier with Grand Blue? Okay, hold on. Back to Grand Blue for me real quick. Uh... One last moment. Carry round's almost done. Yeah. Okay. Hey, nice. Wait. Here's to you, Albert. Oh, you're too kind, Barrick. But I'm really not a patch on you. No, you're not. No? You neglected to mention one crucial possibility. I have? A particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound. Ah, of course. Inspector, enlighten the court, please. Yes, sir. Where are they going with this? Oh, okay, wait, now they're calling me again. Okay, I'll just leave this on the side. Okay, sorry for the constant interruptions, but... Very well. You will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. Well, the weapon the victim was stabbed with must have been left in his body while it was beamed through the air. Well, it was found at the grill.
Objection!
You say that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal? Look, there was no blood at the experimentation stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is if the screwdriver was still in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding. It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend. Even on your side of the world. Yes, but about this screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Ah, well, now that you've come to mention it, yes. Inspector, are we to understand you've permitted the defense counsel to investigate? That you contravened the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? No, oh, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I just let him look, nothing more. I was very clear that he wasn't to touch a thing. Yes, that's true. The screwdriver was in plain sight on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should it? What are you getting at? If this tool had still been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, then it shouldn't have still been on the stage. Oh. That's right. It should have been beamed across to the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Asman. And been found still lodged in the victim's chest. Ah. Ah. Order! How do you explain this, Inspector? I don't... It looks as though everything that the victim had on his person moved with him when he was beamed. If the screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred, obviously that should have been beamed to the destination as well. This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that this instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, we're still basing arguments on the assumption that it did actually take place. Alright, time to tighten the screws here. My lord, if the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in its argument, we can only conclude that the testimony given in support cannot be relied upon. Lord Van Zeeks is stumped. You have something to say, witness? Yes, I knew it. It bears out. The equations hold. Mr. Naruhodo, don't worry. About what? Without delving into the details, there is no inconsistency. What? Even if Andrea had been lodged in Mr. Asman's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrea remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations. Hairbrain. You're making this very hard for the defense to support you in your innocence. Do you want to go to jail for murder or not? What? It would seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly we should hear the accused's explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation. Just when I found an inconsistency with the prosecution's argument. Scientists. Very well. The defendant will testify again. Provide us with a scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold. In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord. Oh my god, dude, come on. Well, to be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states that the kinesis cannot transport metal, though. Hence, the metal weapon would have stayed put. In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. And Mr. Asman was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Now I have the duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together. Hairbrain why? Wait. Then what about the glasses? Like, isn't this metal? So, the thrust of your, testimony, Professor, is that based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis. In other words, since a screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency. And therefore, Professor Albert Harebrained could still have been the killer. My great hypothesis holds, you see. Bro. How willing are you to go to jail to make sure that your hypothesis is legitimate? Oh my god. Fuck off. We had to make the cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason. But I was not addressing you, witness. Professor Harebrained. Yes. Whose side are you on here? I don't take sides, Mr. Naruto. No. My only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist, after all. Is it working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell. Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Nipponese friend. Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruto. Oh my god. That's the extent of the testimony then. Thank goodness for that. I don't want him doing any more damage. He's already basically proven that he could have been the culprit. It seems as though all he really cares about is defending his hypothesis. Still, I wonder, what if his hypothesis is just fundamentally flawed? Your hypothesis states it, so this isn't proven then. No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one, based upon thousands of calculations. But it's widely known that metals cannot be decomposed by electrolysis. Yes, of course. So I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct. What is it about incriminating himself that makes this man so happy? It's the whole reason that the birdcage was made of wood, you see. Sorry, birdcage? Yes, that's what I call the Tusa cage in which Mr. Asman was placed for the kinesis. Ah, the jail cell in which the victim was detained. It does indeed seem to be made of timber of some sort. I'll thank you not to refer to it as an instrument of incarceration, your lordship. In short, any weapon lodged in the victim when he was beamed away by instantaneous kinesis would have been left behind on the stage if it was made of metal, correct? Yes, that's it! Yes! It all fits perfectly with the mathematical model! But the ultimate conclusion then is that the defendant alone had the opportunity to inflict this fatal injury on the victim, is it not? Ah, indeed, sir. Someone beat me out of this nightmare. So can I object to that right away?
Objection!
Yeah. Professor Harebrained, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Spot on, exactly correct. In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this photograph that was taken at the scene. In particular, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. You can clearly see that Mr. Asman is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. What? Metal? No, metal can't. That's not metal. No! We've already established that the proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on the stage. However, if your hypothesis correctly predicted that outcome, it should have also predicted that the metal rimmed spectacles will be found in the same place. Ah! My hypothesis! My hypothesis! Professor Hairbrain, this isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is clearly flawed. Ah! Order! 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 Counsel, what's the implication of this? If on the day in question the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place. Hey Bryce, how you doing? It is entirely possible that the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. And in that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit. But my hypothesis is sound. I proved it that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was proof of all my work. Get just devoured your life? Ah. If I could say something here, my capacity as a fellow of the Royal Society. Yes, juror number 4. Go ahead. As a man of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. And that's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science. What? Wait, Scott. Are you suggesting my science is suspect? It's just been disproved, hasn't it? In front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was a complete nonsense from start to finish. Believe me, my fellow jurors, when I tell you that this man is a heel, a bounder, and a fraud. Heel... a bounder? I say the wreckage of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined. No, never! That machine is the essence of my entire hypothesis. It's protected by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. What the devil's that blasted act all about, eh? Who made up such a daft rule? I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help the professor? Objection time. The only thing we know how to do.
Objection!
Professor Hairbrain has yet to perfect his invention. That would seem to be the case, yes. But even so what? Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public. He would have had absolutely no reason to do such a thing.
Objection!
Shit. He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. For the research grant money. Oh, the government was foolish enough to have deemed the man's ridiculous notion plausible. He and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed. Conspirators? What would be the value of such a grant? 10 pounds? You're an order of magnitude out now. 500 pounds a year. You can live handsome on that much for years. The society's noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science recently. And plenty of scientists arguing with each other to get the largest slice of the funding cake. People's greed is plenty motive enough for murder, I assure you. No, I haven't deceived anyone, at least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound. The science is sound. Please, you must believe me.
Objection!
No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success. Ah, Barrick! And therefore, the only person who could have possibly committed this murder is the accused. Barrick. Where is this heading? I have no idea. My lord, if I may. Yes, Lord Van Zieks. The prosecution would like to summon new witnesses to the stand. New witnesses? What will be the nature of their involvement? They were spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition, were occupying special seats. Eyewitnesses? Crystal Tower, what is this, FF3? Sure. I should very much like to hear from eyewitnesses to the incident. The prosecution's stance is clear. This experiment was no, postish? 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 The accused killed the financier victim there on the public stage, before the very eyes of the spectators. All these British words. Now, my learned friend. Oh, yes. It's time for you to make your own stance clear. There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. But where does that leave me? My, how far English diverged. We shall take a short recess for now, during which time the prosecution will prepare its new witnesses to take the stand. As you wish, my lord. Good. In that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes. Is Van Zieks trying to help us? Not necessarily, because Van Zieks is friends with Hairbrain, so he is still trying to find him guilty of murder, but also helping him, like, what was it? Also helping the professor convince everyone, or like establish that his hypothesis is correct and legitimate and everything. So his whole argument is based on whether or not the kinesis machine experiment was a success. But like, what was it? Feel Van Zieks should not be allowed to work in this case then? Well then we should feel that the majority of cases in the Ace Attorney game shouldn't happen in the first place. The first case in the first Ace Attorney game, Phoenix defends Larry, his best friend from grade school. It's like, That's Ace Attorney in a nutshell. Conflict of interest be damned. The legal system in this world is fucked. Bruh, like, not just because of conflict of interest, like, dude, accidents, murders, or other crimes take place during one day, and then immediately one day or maybe the second day after, we immediately go to trial and do the whole thing. I'm like, that, like, from what little I do know the legal system, at least in the US, like there's a lot of processes and other stuff to go through in order to properly investigate and do all that work. So yeah. Mr. Naruhodo, what on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing at all along? My hypothesis! My amazing hypothesis! You've been picking holes in it from the start! Ah, sorry about that. But you promised me! You said that you proved that dreaded explosion was an accident, not murder! Yeah. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling into anyone's hands! But all you've done is, so far is tried to undermine me! Hairbrain! Have you even listened to yourself within the past 20 minutes of this trial? Yes, I did make you a promise. You're right. I said that I believe in you and fight for your freedom to the very end. But I also told you that I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. The fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there? Ah, but if I just run through some equations... Yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete. Perhaps it is. Nevertheless, a man died as a consequence, didn't he? Oh. Oh no! Okay, hold on. You're right. You're so right. It's all my fault. And I have no right to blame you for my failures. I'm a disaster. Not just as a scientist, but as a human being. Well, that might be a little over the top. And while we're on the subject, what about Beric? He's being awful. Claiming that his old university friend to be a murderer, you mean? He's a disaster, not just as a prosecutor, but as a human being. But no, wait, he's the Reaper, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as a Homo sapiens anymore. Glad that's cleared up. Can I double check something with you? Ah, yes, what? The machine and demonstration you prepared. They were based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume. There was no trickery involved. I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn with the firm belief that science is the only future. So yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet, but please, Mr. Naruhodo, you must believe in it. Alright, Professor, I understand. Counsel, defendant. The prosecution witnesses are ready to take the stand. Court is about to be in session again. Make your way into the courtroom, please. It all hinges on that demonstration. If the professor's hypothesis is sound as he claims, it leaves him as the only person who could possibly have killed the victim. But on the other hand, Mr. Sholmes was adamant. Okay. Hold on. Okay. I'm done with ground blue stuff on the side. Sorry for the constant interruptions. Practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. So really, what should I be trying to prove here? In the name of Her Majesty, the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify? The prosecution is ready, my lord. As is the defense, my lord. So, Lord Van Zeeks, I believe these next witnesses saw the demonstration on the day in question with their own eyes. Indeed, they did. As luck would have it, one of them is a police detective. So the testimony we're about to hear can be considered highly reliable. Perfect, a detective of all people. The prosecution's stance remains unchanged. Though it ended in tragedy, the demonstration on the day in question was scientifically sound. And consequently, the sole person with the opportunity to have committed this act of murder is the only other individual to have been present on the stage at the time, the accused. Thank you, counsel. The prosecution's position is clear. So, bring forth the witnesses now. Bailiff, show the witnesses in. The witnesses whose proximity to the incident on the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally. Oh, what the heck? Hey! Gina, how you doing? Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court to hear. My name is Balthasar Loon. I am the impresario of all the hot air balloons in vicinity of the experimental stage. My name is oh no, Wilhelm Gutsreich, Sigismund Ormstein. Oh my god. Or just Guts. Glad to see she did not just cease to exist after the last game. I mean, like, she was put in prison for, you know, committing committing a crime, but like kind of like helping out, what's his name again? The Irish dude. So she did have some things to answer for. That and like after her time in prison, she basically joined the Scotland Yard under the supervision of accessory to murder. That's the phrase I was looking for. But yeah, Gina is now what was it? Is an apprentice to Gregson. So yeah. Excuse me. I have come to see the great exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. Gregson's still a cop? Things got better, I guess. After the last game, you thought he would have been canned. I think, did they mention something here? Nah, I didn't mention it. Or they don't mention it in court record. But I think like he did get some form of punishment. I think my mind's a bit foggy because of all the interruptions from the session, and the initial session for case 3 because of like Granblue and also relatives also kind of throwing a wrench into stream plans and stuff like that. It's been a while since we went through the investigation section of case 3. So I'm already forgetting some details here. I'm very rich. Inspector Gina Lestrade, Scotland Yard. I'm a great detective, even Airlock's chums agrees. I was on security duty at the exhibition, and I got to go up with in one of them balloons. It was amazing. Gina, again. But she didn't mention that she'd seen the disaster from up in a balloon actually, did she? And she clearly loved every minute of it. There were 3 balloons flying near the public experimentation stage when the incident occurred. 2 of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time, and saw events unfold from the skies above. People make it sound like they were in the clouds. It's only an altitude of circa 60 feet, very low. Well, you can't see nothing if you fly too high, can ya? 60 feet? About 18 meters then. Excuse me? Good old Imperial system. I'll describe exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you who had a vantage point above the stage. It was an incidente terrible, or terrible. Oh my god, just the way he speaks. Oh my god. I'm only grateful that my balloons were not damaged. There was a huge bang from the stage. Then the next second, another bang in the sky beside us. And amid these smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere. The cage had fell from the sky like a stone and crashed into the crystal tower. I didn't get a good look inside the cage, but no one went near it after it crashed into the tower. A most extraordinary collective account, I must say. Can I just clarify something? There's a detail in the witness's testimony that I've not heard any mention of until now. Specifically that there were 2 explosions. More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places. Yes. When the demonstration began, the balloon carrying the 2 witnesses was around here. There were other balloons in the air nearby at the time, carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. Excuse me. Then, as power was supplied to the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called birdcage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage, and a moment later, the second explosion occurred, directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witnesses. The birdcage appeared at the site of the explosion, subsequently to plummet down into the crystal tower. I was very surprised. Suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes, with a person inside. Hold on real quick. Okay. The blast was so hot, I didn't want to miss a thing, so I kept my eyes wide. I still have lots of money. Yes, we get it. You're rich. Bohemian boy. Oh, where are your parents? Precisely who is this curious infant? I'm told he is a young noble of Bohemian royalty. A Apparently, he disguised himself in order to steal unnoticed into the Great Exhibition. Yeah, I'm here in London on a sightseeing trip, visit my elementary school. We will have the benefit of the child's point of view in the testimony. Do we really need that? When I remove my mask, this is what I look like. Ah, yes, I see. A delightful face, I'm sure. Yeah, everyone says so. Great disguise, then. The point is, the testimony of these witnesses further substantiates the facts of the court. Namely that despite ending in an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated. And furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the crystal tower where the victim fell. Therefore, only the accused who was with Mr. Asman on the stage could possibly have committed the murder. Oh yes, thank you, Consul. The prosecution's views on the matter are quite clear. So, the defense's cross-examination now, please. Yes, my lord. You know, I'm really glad, like, the jurors haven't really, immediately swung the verdict to guilty, or their leanings to guilty right away. We had, like, what, 3 cross-examinations at this point? Ugh, thank God. I need to move my, water around.
Hold it!
There were 3 balloons flying above the experimentation stage at the time, I understand. See, all 3 of them. My, Bellissimi, Bambini. They're very popular, signor. Some people will pay £10 for one ride. £10? That's more than my annual stipend. Stipend. £20 a month. That is my pocket money. Rose have all the luck. I got up there for free, I did. Like the old I work for Her Majesty's police card, you know? Detectives have all the luck. If they're so popular, why would you only be operating with such a small number of balloons, though? Well, because if I have too many in the skies, they could crash into each other. The operators for the balloons were decided by lots, with each operator manning a particular area. See, and the zone above the public experimentation stage is the most profitable. The other impresarios, they hate me. Thank you, witness. I think the court has a clear picture of the arrangements for the balloon rise at the exhibition. Perhaps we could hear more about what you actually witnessed of the incident. Right, I can fill you in there, my lord.
Hold it!
So you actually saw the accident happen from up in the air. Yep. Isn't it amazing what a detective gets to do, eh? I'm telling you, Otto, being a lawyer's a mug game. You should join force and we can go flying together. You know me so well. Yes, well, anyway. Could you tell us exactly what you saw, do you think? Everything. We saw everything, 'cause we were up above it all. That, dodgy cove climbing into that cage, and that dodgy professor pulling all them levers. And that's when it happened. And that's when there was a massive bang and the cage disappeared, just like that. You're describing the moment the subject's body was decomposed by the electricity, I believe. I didn't know what to make of it, but then there was another bang right in my ear. I looked around, and there's a huge gray fireball. And there's a huge gray fireball right next to us in the sky, and there was nothing there before. Excuse me. Master Gotts, does your memory of the day differ? My teacher at elementary school said that when you meet someone for the first time, you should always use their full name. Ah, yes, what was it again? Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund Ornstein. Just the four names then. The point is, do you have something to say? Poor Inosuke. All these damn European names, man. They're so unpronounceable. Something to add in response to Detective Gina Lestrade's last remark, perhaps. Oi, get it right, Otto. It's Inspector Lestrade. Why does everyone have a problem with how I address them at the moment? That is not what I saw. Oh. Yeah, there was a second explosion and it was right beside our balloon. That is true. But I'm sure... Which is what I said in it. 1 minute there was nothing there, and the next, a massive explosion. My teacher at elementary school said that, said that when someone else is speaking, if you are rude enough to interrupt, you will have the most awful life imaginable. Are all Bohemians brought up to be so full of joy? Just before the second explosion happened next to our balloon, I clearly witnessed a green balloon flying in the sky. A green balloon? You what? I never saw nothing like that. Well, I did. I saw it. You can't say I did it. I will complain to the council. I will cry and scream. My testimony is the truth. I am Bohemian Prince. You cannot say it's a lie. That is not allowed. Blame the bleeding rods, Ikaraya. Typical. Says the orphan who likes to remind people she works for Her Majesty's police. In that case, young man, I must ask you to amend your formal testimony. In the interest of cordial national relations between Great Britain and Bohemia. It was not the sky that exploded. It was a green balloon that was next to ours at the time. Please let me just show the thing right now. Oh, do I have to press for it?
Objection!
Son of a bitch! You know what, I'll roll with that. So they, oh my god. So I had to press for that.
Hold it!
A green balloon, you say? Are you sure about that? Of course I am sure. I'm a proud Bohemian prince. All these questions are making me boring. I think you mean bored. Ah, English is very annoying. The language of my countrymen is far superior. Ragazzo, it is very wrong to lie. Lie? Flying balloons never explode. For the same reason the planets never explode. It is logical. Do I tell him? Nah. Please tell me that doesn't mean logical. If you insult me, you insult all of Bohemia. Might I? I will have the army come and shoot all of your stupid balloons out of the sky. All of them. Here you are, Your Highness. If only all international incidents were so easily resolved. Now that peaceful relations have been restored here in the courtroom, perhaps we could return to the testimony. Did you also see the moment that the cage materialized, Mr. Loon? No, I did not see the explosion myself. However... Huh. So, okay.
Hold it!
Did you see that actually happen? No, in reality, I did not. I saw after it hit the tower. There was a grand, confusion, around the stage. I ran to see what had happened. I was terrorized by the idea that one of my balloons had crashed. I suppose they are his livelihood. But when I looked up to the sky, all my precious balloons were still there. I saw it though. I saw it slam into the tower. After all, I am a detective now. Then tell us what you saw, Inspector Lestrade. That's what I like to hear.
Hold it!
Was it you who gave the order to keep people away? Eh? Use your head, Otto. How could it have been me? I was up in a balloon, weren't I? Right. So, cause I wasn't available, it was the boss who had to leg it over there. He was getting shoved and kicked all over by panicked inspectors as he tried to seal out the scene. It was a real sight to behold, I can tell you. Amazing. Poor Inspector Gregson. So anyway, I couldn't see the cage that well because of all the smoke. And I didn't really want to see, to be honest. I was scared out of my wits. Keep it together, Inspector. The prosecution really is asserting that the demonstration was genuine. But what if it was actually some kind of switch-around trick instead? That would mean that the victim was never actually on the stage in the first place. The two explosions could have thrown everyone watching into a panic for sure. I think I need to find out more about exactly what people saw at the time.
Hold it!
Actually, no, we already saw that. So then... I'm pretty sure I have to present something here then.
Hold it!
Okay. This is a bit of a stretch, but...
Objection!
Oh, there we go. Mr. Loon, in your testimony, you said that all 3 of the balloons you had operating at the time were undamaged. See, that is correct. If they had been caught by the explosiones, it would have been terrible. I wonder if you might know what this is. Ah, I think it may be, see, part of a balloon. A burnt piece of the fabric of the envelope. Sorry, the envelope. Pardon, that is the large round part of the balloon which becomes filled with hot air. It's made from very thick fabric lined with rubber. You do not want it to rip when you're in the sky. Just as I thought. This piece of cloth was found near the experimentation stage. In other words, as Master Goss testified, a green balloon did indeed explode that day. Eh? If all the balloons in the sky above the experimentation stage belong to you, Mr. Loon, then your statement that they were all undamaged clearly contradicts the evidence. No! If a balloon exploded that day, why didn't the man say so? Maybe when a boar was killed. Oh no, having just spent 10 whole pounds for the experience, how awful. Seems to me like those things crash 50% of the time anyway. The instantaneous kinesis did occur, but after the explosion on the stage, the point of materialization shifted to a location occupied by a balloon, causing the balloon to explode. Yes, evidently plausible. An unfortunate traffic accident, as it were, but it changes nothing about the pertinent facts. Hold it. This I cannot accept. Why not, Mr. Loon? You're suggesting that I'm a liar. That person's died in a balloon incident. There's no need to get fired up, Mr. Loon. The victim was the sole fatality that day. That's right, and I prove it. Balthazar Loon is not a liar. There was no such balloon in the sky. It is non-possible. You're saying it's impossible. Why? This court has more important matters to discuss than the number of balloons that were operating that day. Hey!
Objection!
But we can't ignore the fact that nobody appears to have known anything about this other balloon until now. My lord, the defense calls for further testimony from Mr. Loon. I concur. There's clearly more to the truth here than meets the eye. It is imperative that we clear up the issue of this phantom balloon, I feel. Witness, you will give a supplementary testimony about the balloons you were operating at the exhibition. Ah, grazie, my lord. As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All 3 of my balloons were carrying passengers, and if they fell to the ground in an explosion, what a catastrophe. But you can't get away from the fact that a burnt up bit of the cloth was found in the Scene Canyon. The coppers at the yard reckon it was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage. That stupido ragazzo is mistaken. My balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. So your assertion is that the balloon this child saw was not one belonging to you. Si, exactamente. If he even saw a balloon in the first place. I do not like the sound of it. It's very bad for business. I have a good mind to sue the land of Bohemia. If you attack us, we will fight back. It will be a war. All out war. Whoa. That's kidding. Oh my god. Oh my god. What happened to all out war? Mr. Moon certainly doesn't appear to be lying, but that doesn't change the fact that the testimony and evidence are contradictory here. If the defense is unable to find fault with the witness's statements, the court must consider them the truth. Think long and hard on that, my learned friend. The situation has clearly changed now. I have to get to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes. Counsel, you may now cross-examine the witnesses.
Hold it!
You couldn't just... I've forgotten one, maybe. Signor, I might not notice if I was given 100 lentils and one was missing. But we're talking about 3 enormous balloons. Do you believe I could mistake something about something so grand and expensive? I took the liberty of having Inspector Gregson check this gentleman's warehouse. I have the report here. It clearly says a total of 3 balloons. It would appear that no mistake has been made then. Surely Mr. Straw could have sent for such a menial task. What, me? I'll tell you what I told the boss. East End kids like me can only count up to 2. What? That's your bullshit excuse for getting out of doing a boring errand? Oh my god. Obviously that ain't true, but the boss bought it and said he'd have to go himself in that case. All 3 of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in explosion, then what a catastrophe!
Hold it!
It would be quite a catastrophe if they fell to the ground for any reason, I think. On that note, Mr. Moon, tell me, what is it that keeps these balloons in the sky? Are you an idiota? Sorry. That's like asking why does a candle burn bright? It burns bright because it burns bright. And a balloon flies because it flies. What else? Because of all the hot air that's being generated filling up the space with yeah. That must be Italian for I don't know. There are 2 types of flying balloons, hot air balloons and gas balloons. Hot air balloons work on the principle of hot air being less dense than cold air, whereas gas balloons derive their lift by using gas that is lighter than air. See, my balloons are filled with the magic gas, I believe. Hydrogen, lighter than air, but highly explosive. Good lord! I do not permit smoking of the cigarettes in any of my balloons. The magic gas does not like fire. Even a small spark of static electricity could cause the entire balloon to explode. What's the matter with you, senor? All that comes out of your mouth is explosion! Explosion! I tell you, my balloons are perfectly safe. They have to be, or I cannot eat, or I cannot eat. None of my balloons exploded that day. I'm completely sure. But if you still say that's what happened, you must show me the proof. Alright, so Mr. Moon had 3 balloons in the air that day. If none of them were damaged, then what was the one that exploded? We don't have anything to show at the moment.
Hold it!
I was surprised to find the piece of the fabric still at the scene, actually. Didn't you search the area surrounding the stage for clues? Nah, I'm not into picking up stuff off the ground, me. Always works out way better, than diving into people's pockets instead. Bruh. Also, wait, hold on. I need to check something real quick. So much for the new career path. Mind you, the boss was on his hands and knees picking up all kinds of rubbish from the floor. Thing is though, the cage went crashing into the crystal tower, didn't it? That's where most of the investigating was going on. Even so, I would have thought someone from Scotland Yard would have gathered it up as evidence. Core, listen to you. You stumble across a bit of a balloon and suddenly you're the best investigator in the world. Pardon? Well, you ain't got a badge, have you? Like this one. I could arrest you with this if I wanted to. I wouldn't put it past her. Come to think of it, there was talk of some scorching on the ground at a meeting we had about the investigation. The coppers at the yard reckon it was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage.
Hold it!
There was considerable damage to the stage and surrounding area, wasn't there? Yeah, some of the coves were watching the experiment, were caught in the blast and injured. Good job the old contraption didn't keel over, eh? I hadn't even considered that. It seems there was a great panic after the incident occurred. Nevertheless, the police shouldn't have missed the torn piece of the envelope from a balloon. Inspector Gregson can expect repercussions. You know, I'm getting Gumshoe vibes right here, right now. Maybe this is where it all started. Like me swapping all this fish and chips, eh? The man's sole pleasure. None of this matters. That scrap of balloon envelope means nothing. Nient. Or nient or niente? You mean the color is wrong? See, senor. I do not have any green balloons in my warehouse. And yet, a piece of green cloth was found at the scene, and is unmistakably from a balloon. Well, I do not know how that can be. For the sake of argument, let's say that a green balloon did explode above the stage. Couldn't therefore conclude that it happened on the day in question. Why not? There could have been a recreation of balloon flights over Hyde Park operating from before the Great Exhibition. One could have exploded on some earlier date. Unfortunate, as I'm sure you'd agree. You believe it may have been from some earlier balloon incident that predates the exhibition? Si, exactamente. As the senor says, it is not from one of my balloons. Play this little ragazzo. Oh.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Master God? It's Master Wilhelm Guts. It was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, something is very wrong. I know what I saw. There was a green balloon there. I swear it. I swear over all over Bohemia. Okay, hold on real quick. I clear my throat for a second. Let me rearrange my seat. You can speak as much bad language as you like, but it changes nothing. If you do not have evidence, Ragazzo, then I must tell your parents to punish you, eh? Perhaps we'll let the judge decide when it comes to punishments. Evidence? What is evidence? Give a simple example, young man. A photograph, for instance. Some tangible proof of what you claim. Well, why didn't you say so sooner? I have the photograph here. What? What? Excuse me? Good gracious. What? I had not been piled up, sorry. I had not been up in a balloon for a little while, so I was very excited. I took lots and lots of photographs. Of the Crystal Tower, of the Bohemian exhibit, and of the streets of London, of the hot, eel cellar, the balloon, and the instantaneous kinesis experiment. Did you take a picture of that? Yeah, one picture. Really, you did take one. But all I wanted was a ride in a balloon. I was not interested in boring experiments. Never mind that. Can you show us that photograph? Of course. And then you will see. You will see that I am not lying. That I really did see a green balloon. Um, um, sir, young boy, your highness, prince, young master, I don't know, that was a black and white picture. Yes, I think shocked is indeed a word, young man. Yeah, perhaps you cannot see that it was a green balloon from this photograph, but that is not my fault. That is the fault of the stupid person who made the camera. Wah! That is one very bohemian sounding cry. Wah! Very well, the court will accept this photograph as evidence. It's not my fault. It's the fault of the person who made the camera. Huh. What is this? Something from within the smoke. Oh wait, that has to be from midair, but something was shooting into the balloon. Wait. Everything else looks relatively normal. At least in terms of the crowd. You know, there's the professor right there. And then there's Asmon as well. Yeah. Somebody, I think this might be where we pull out the crossbow. Huh. Well, never mind. I'm sure you have plenty of wonderful, sepia memories to take home with you. In any case, when exactly did you take that photograph? Well, it was on the day of the big explosion. You don't say. When I, pressed, the shutter release, there was, this very loud bang. And a hot, wind, rushed over my face. Wait, hold on real quick. Excuse me. That means this photograph was taken a split second before the explosion occurred. Well, if you ask me, this black and white photograph changes nothing. I could not give the, I could not give the flying fig. Lovely language you've picked up. As I thought, Mr. Loon's testimony just doesn't quite add up. The young bohemian boy claims to have seen another fourth balloon, but Mr. Loon vehemently denies the possibility. And it's hard to imagine that the man in charge could be mistaken about the murder that were, the number that were in the air. Still, this inconsistency must tell us something, I'm sure. Huh. Which one do I object to here? Okay, hold on. The headphones are loose again. My headphones are really showing their age. Like the little parts that you can pull up and down to kind of extend the how long the ears are or can go down. It's getting very loose. So all three were carrying past. Hold on. Must show me the proof.
Objection!
Yeah. Unfortunately, the photograph Master Gods took couldn't tell us the color of the balloon, but can tell us something else. Something crucially important. What? It shows that the picture balloon wasn't carrying any passengers. Ah, my goodness, you're right. I'm sure all balloons would have been carrying passengers. There would be no sense in it otherwise. See, they are for pleasure, for seeing the view. My balloons only fly with passengers. Which tells us that the picture balloon isn't one of them. So when the incident occurred that day, there was a fourth balloon in the skies above the experimentation stage. The mysterious green balloon. I don't know nothing. Niente. I can only tell you one thing. If this balloon was not carrying passengers, then it was not one of mine.
Objection!
There are illegal tradesmen everywhere you care to look. Clearly one such entrepreneur decided to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the Great Exhibition. and managed to operate balloon flights on Mr. Loon's patch without him realizing. See! The competition! Trying to steal my profits! I did not notice because of the experimental that went wrong on stage. This fourth balloon exploded at the very same moment Mr. Asman was beamed from the stage below. Right. So them scraps that fell to the ground after and left the scorch marks, it didn't come from the stage at all. It was bits of the balloon raining down. But because no one was in it, it didn't get no attention. A mysterious fourth balloon carrying no passengers silently floating over the experimentation stage.
Objection!
This photograph shows us nothing more. A stray balloon carrying no one and operated by some rogue trader. It clearly has nothing to do with the case. Its relevance does elude me, I must say. The court has sufficient evidence, has seen sufficient evidence and heard ample testimony already. The prosecution calls for this trial to be concluded. Really? Have we really got to the truth yet? No, I can't let this opportunity slip away. The jurors' minds are made up, and not in our favor. What else can this photograph tell us? Is there nothing more we can learn from it? But wait, there's more!
Objection!
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, wait. Please don't give your decisions just yet. The photograph from Master Gotts may well be hiding one more vital clue. What's that? A vital clue?
Objection!
We're well past the point of mere possibilities. It's time for definitives now. So tell the courts. What exactly does this alleged clue in the photograph prove? The cause of the explosion. We can reasonably assume that the picture balloon was destroyed in the searing heat of the explosion. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was not my fault. Evidently. Because the birdcage from the kinesis machine materialized in the sky where it had been flying. And the balloon, being filled with flammable hydrogen, instantly and explosively ignited.
Objection!
No, that's not what happened. What? It would appear that this photograph requires closer examination. Counsel for the defense, you will highlight the location of this alleged clue in the photograph for the court. Of course, my lord. If you look closely, it's plain enough to see, and what's shown is linked to another piece of evidence we have, in a way that leads to an unbelievable conclusion. Wait. No. Wait. Could it have been... Wait. Wait, could it have been possible? Or did Hairbrain happen to lose his screwdriver? Because, like, my wild theory is that... I'm not sure how this will even play into this, how this will even factor in, but it's like, someone fired the crossbow with the screwdriver loaded as the bolt, and then from the angle down, it shot up. And actually no, the weird thing is that it looks so shiny. That's the thing. Or maybe because of the sunlight, it obscured it? Or, I don't know. And then it hit the balloon, and because of like the sudden impact and all that stuff, actually, no, like, could it have generated? And we're getting a little bit too indefinite in that, but then maybe like just popping that could have caused the explosion, which then shot the screwdriver into Mr. Asman as a result. Although, how will that explain the... Okay, yeah, I don't fucking know. The clue that heavily suggests that the real reason the balloon exploded is...
Take that!
The timing of this photograph can only be described as miraculous. If you look, you'll notice that there's a bright white line that appears to point directly at the balloon. Most likely a ray of light caught incidentally on the film. I'm afraid I can see nothing of the sort. If you look with a magnifying glass, my lord, it becomes clear what the nature of this bright line really is. Wait, what? Goodness, what's that? Undeniably some flash of light, yes. Oh golly, do you think it might be lightning? But it couldn't have been a finer day. I believe we may be looking at fire. A bolt of fire heading straight for the balloon, like an arrow. Indeed, even to my aging eyes, it would appear to be a flame of some sort. My word, are you suggesting this flame struck the hydrogen gas that filled the balloon?
Objection!
That's absurd. The balloon would have been 60 feet above the ground at the time. No flame could possibly reach such a height.
Objection!
Crossbow time. Actually, it's my opinion that a particular piece of evidence found in the scene reveals that is exactly what did happen. What evidence? If such evidence exists, counsel, then for goodness' sake present it, man. Which evidence explains this mysterious streak of flame that appears to be headed, directly for the balloon?
Take that!
This was found hidden at the foot of a small ornamental tree near the scene. Good lord, is that a crossbow? An arrow dipped in oil instead of light could have been shot from this weapon, sending a flaming arrow straight into the hydrogen-filled balloon. Are you suggesting that crossbow was used to deliberately... Blimey, you're right! That streak of light in the photo looks just like an arrow, doesn't it? Then, the explosion of the balloon, it was... very likely the result of a flaming arrow from this crossbow igniting the hydrogen gas inside it. No! Order! Order! Counsel! This is extraordinary supposition. If the aim was to cause the balloon to explode, the shooter could have used a gun, of course. However, there's an obvious reason why that would have been out of the question. The noise of the discharge, of course. That's right. But by using a crossbow, the projectile could be fired at the balloon silently. Well, yeah, if someone had shot a gun off in the exhibition grounds, it would have caused a real panic. Well, with the big explosion, there was a very big panic anyway, no? I don't like this. I should be pleased to have found a plausible new explanation for all this, but something feels wrong.
Objection!
Do you understand the implications of what you're saying, my Nipponese friend? If a flaming arrow did indeed hit the balloon, then obviously it would have exploded. And if the birdcage appeared from the cloud of smoke that ensued. What? Wait a minute. What are you really saying here? I don't get it. Was the birdcage beamed up into the sky after all? Or what? My goodness me. Ah, now I understand. That's what that sinking feeling is about. I think there's a good chance that the birdcage was actually concealed inside the balloon all along. Wait, what? Wait. Oh, wait. Didn't we see the birdcage itself at the scene of the crime? Or, sorry, at the experimentation stage? Wait, I don't remember... I don't remember that part of the... Wait. when we investigated it, was this still there, or is it still the broken remnants of the outer edges of, like, this stuff here? Wait. Oh my god, I really wish I didn't take a couple days from starting case 3, because I kind of forgot this important detail here. Because if that was the case, then... What the fuck? What? Excuse me. What? Did I hear that correctly, Council? There's no going back now. The horse has bolted. Let's assume, as I said, that the birdcage was hidden inside the green balloon from the start. On the stage when the experiment was started, the birdcage in the instantaneous kinesis machine disappeared in a cloud of smoke. At that moment, a flaming arrow was fired from the ground, causing the green balloon to explode, drawing the attention of the spectators to the sky above their heads. From amid the smoke, the hidden birdcage then appeared to fall down and crash into the crystal tower. I think you'll all agree that it's entirely plausible. That what I've just described is the real truth behind the miraculous experiment carried out that day. Good grief!
Objection!
This is ludicrous. What you described is no science experiment. It's child's play. A contemptible display of stage magic. Both Mr. Sholmes and Iris said that the experiment was a scientific impossibility, in which case, this is the only way to explain what happened that day. And in any case, the victim's body was found inside the birdcage in the crystal tower. If the instantaneous kinesis didn't take place, how do you explain that? Well, if I may put in a word as a man of magic myself, such apparent discrepancies can easily be explained by simple deception. Juror number 3. All that would be needed is a doppelganger, someone who looked very similar to the victim, Mr. Asman, and having this other man appear on stage to front the show as a body double. Ah, yes, of course. So in fact, Mr. Asman must have been inside the birdcage that was concealed inside the balloon right from the start.
Objection!
That balloon would have been filled with hydrogen. Anything hidden inside it could have been scattered to the 4 winds when it exploded. No one would ever have embarked on such a risky venture. Oh, not necessarily. The explosive force of balloon gas would very much depend on the mixture ratio. Here, number 4. Flying balloons are rarely filled with pure hydrogen, but a mixture of other gases such as helium as well. Helium on its own doesn't explode, but by controlling the gas mixture ratio, the explosive force can be altered. The mixture ratio. Obviously, the victim's body would have suffered some burns. That would be unavoidable. But not to such an extent as to render this whole obscene charade impossible. You like that the jury is now just countering Van Zieks for us? Yeah, like, I actually, it's actually really nice that, like, the jurors are also trying to find the truth themselves as well, instead of just going, yep, guilty, guilty, guilty. So it's actually really nice. Also, I just noticed that the liquid inside those vials are actually changing color. I just noticed that. What is he even mixing? Like, it's just putting the liquid back and forth, and it's just changing based on shaking it. But yeah, it's really nice that the jurors like aren't just guilty machines. So this is very nice. And of course they'll probably do it anyway once we get past a certain point. But at least like they're being rational about this. For once the jury's on the side of justice. Just wait for like 20 minutes or so, I would imagine. so everything that happened can be explained, logically and scientifically. The explosion that engulfed the stage at the start of the experiment was no accident. It was all part of an elaborate deception to make it appear that instantaneous kinesis had occurred. Well, goodness me. And if we accept that this is what happened, it means that the victim, Mr. Aslan, was never present on the public experimentation stage to begin with. In short, he couldn't have been killed by the defendant, who was on stage in full view the entire time. This will be very hard for the prosecution to counter. Lord Van Zieks can't credibly maintain that Professor Harebrained is the suspect now. Harebrained, 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 shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up, sir! Mr. Naruhodo, I appreciate your efforts. Thank you. Professor? But you can stop now. Just keep your mouth shut, please. Sorry? What's all this about, Mr. Harebrained? I, Albert Harebrained, hereby confess that it was me who stabbed Mr. Adi Asman. Oh my god! Harebrained! Harebrained! God, my vocal cords are going just with how pissed I am. Because the further we go, since we basically set up the whole argument of someone deliberately shooting an arrow into a balloon with the birdcage inside to make it seem like instantaneous kinesis actually worked, then this would prove this whole experiment to be a sham, and that Harebrained would not get the research grant money. So then he is trying to confess that he did stab him in desperation, so that it still goes along with the idea that the kinesis was a success. Just so his experiment can be proven legitimate at the cost of his imprisonment. Oh my god, come on! Harebrained! God damn it! I think it's too late for him to confess here. Anything for the prosecution to stand on at this point. Worst of all, with our own defendant helping him out. Yes, it was me, with my faithful friend and partner, Andrew the Screwdriver. What? What are you doing? Order! 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 Defendant, explain the sudden confession.
Objection!
Professor Harebrained, what are you talking about? It's what I've said all along. I must protect my hypothesis and my precious machine. You stand there and claim it was all a trick, all an elaborate prank, but where's your proof? No, you'd have to examine the machine if you wanted to prove it, but then it'd all be over. My beautiful hypothesis would be laid bare. I mean, the indignity of it. It's clear that you drew the plans for the experiment, but you didn't actually build it. It's quite conceivable that you were duped, Professor. If you would just let me go— Barrett! Yes. I'll cooperate. I'll do whatever you say. I swear it. So, please, ensure that the special dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act is adhered to and protect my creation. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice at this critical juncture. Here's to my learned Nipponese friend. What? And his upcoming attempt to clarify the defense's position in the light of the accused's confession. Do you intend to formally assert that the experiment was nothing more than a conjuring trick? Because the moment you do, the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act that protects the professor's invention will cease to apply. The prosecution will then demand a rigorous examination of the machinery involved in order to establish the truth. However, if you acknowledge that machine is genuine and instrumental in the victim's murder, any chance of investigating will be crushed, and the confidentiality of the professor's hypothesis preserved. So if we say that if we acknowledge that the experiment was a success, then the professor will keep the secrecy. But if we go against our own defendant here, he'll lose basically everything to him. Well, counsel, what is the defense's official position on this matter? Professor Harebrained, my client, actually asked me, was to prove that the explosion on stage was an accident and protect the secrecy of his hypothesis. But there's no way to do that without implying the professor's guilt. Do I protect my client's life by asserting his innocence? Or do I uphold my client's request, but see him condemned? Either way, I can't avoid betraying his trust. You've been silent long enough. Isn't talking your trade, my learned friend? Or has all knowledge of English escaped your confused Nipponese mind? Wow! Not like this. Mr. Naruhodo! There's no escape here. I have to make a choice. But it's an impossible one. I have to give up on something. But what? The defense asserts that the defendant's instantaneous kinesis machine was in fact... This game seems to hold justice and the truth over what the client wants. Yeah. To preserve the secrecy of his invention. Or not. Time travel. Personally, you just let the client have what he wants. But we need to get to the truth. But the truth. Ah! No, I can't say it. My client places faith in me. I just can't let him down. Damn it, Ryunosuke. Illusion of choice, my ass. What must I give up on? Is not the question you have to ask yourself here. It's what I can protect. Oh, is this like Cosmo's spirit talking to us? Oh. Oh. Hi, Susato. How's it going? Where'd you come from? Oh, where'd you come from? Sure sent a letter at least. Hello again, Mr. Naruhodo. It's been far too long. Susato-san! But what are you... Hiya! Oh! My first Susato takedown in 6 months. There'll be time to talk later, Mr. Naruhodo. For now, We must concentrate on the task at hand. Which is working out not what I have to give up on, but what I can protect. Professor Hairbrain. Oh, yes. Yesterday you told me that science is the pursuit of truth. Well, my job is to pursue the truth too. Yes, of course. And personally, I believe that you didn't stab Mr. Asman. I think you've come to realize something yourself too, haven't you? That your experiment and the machine you built with the victim are questionable. The truth behind that is what we must both pursue now. Ah! So, you finally opened your eyes. What? And as for you, Albert, you can't ignore this any longer. Ah. Having heard my learned friend's assertion, don't you have something to say? Beric! Lord Van Ziegs? Gosh, I never heard him speak that way before. In truth, there is one thing. Something I've remembered that's of relevance. What? On the day it happened, just before I began the experiment, I saw a man near the stage. A man holding that crossbow. I beg your pardon? Professor, did the man have any distinguishing features? What did he look like? Taller than me, and thinner than me, with straight hair, straighter and whiter than mine. Wait. Tall, thinner than someone of Hairbrain's build. Straighter and whiter hair. Actually, no. Obviously strong art. No. But, I have a bad feeling about this. Let me see. One less lens than me, too. A monocle. A rather stylish black monocle. Okay, a monocle then. Okay, then we don't know that person at all. But one thing in particular will help positively identify the man you see. You see, I know him very well. After all, he's the engineer who built my invention. What? He built the machine? That's right. Mr. Asman introduced him to me a year ago. He's a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. Enoch Drebber? Does this name mean something? Members of the jury seem flustered. Not a name any scientist wishes to hear. That man's an abomination. Not a name any conjurer wishes to hear either. Who on earth is he? I'm afraid this is the first tale of this nature that I've heard in scientific circles in connection with that name. There's talk of other flamboyant experiments that will turn out to be nothing but staged trickery in the end. Obviously, the rascals after government research grant money. When magicians are in need of money, I've heard of them resorting to these underhanded tactics. Some acquaintances of mine with experience of such things have mentioned Enoch Drebber's name before. The man is both an engineer and a magician, yes, We're dealing with an unparalleled confidence trickster here. That's Enoch Drebber for you. Oh, it's music. So it's true then. My invention, my great machine, it was just a grand illusion. Considering what we just heard about Mr. Drebber's character, I'm sorry to say that sounds increasingly likely. Even though no one else believed me or believed it, I wanted to. I wanted to believe the machine would function exactly as my hypothesis predicted. Which is why you were so opposed to it being investigated, I presume. I knew that if the machine was examined in detail, its construction would give away my hypothesis. We're looking for a stick person. You love the intersection between the stage magician and scientists we have here? Obviously, I didn't want that to happen, but at the same time, I knew that if it was to be found nothing more than a trick, then a work of deception, then everything I'd worked towards, all my research, all my dreams, my whole life would be over. I was terrified at the prospect. So you really had no idea then, did you? About the true nature of the machine that was built, and the true nature of Mr. Drebber. I never questioned anything. I didn't want to question it. It's entirely possible that Mr. Asma and Mr. Drebber were working together to use you as a means to fraudulently acquire research grant money. When I announced my invention to the crowds that day, it was the finest moment of my career. I pulled the levers and turned all the dials in exactly the way Drebber had described. When the smoke suddenly started billowing out, I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. But I really don't know how the whole illusion was made to work. I don't know anything anymore. Let me confirm one final point with you, Professor. Do you now consent to the prosecution submitting the necessary paperwork to release your invention from the protection afforded by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Yes, please, go ahead. I'm very sorry. It would appear that we shall have to suspend proceedings for the remainder of the day now. Lord Van Zeeks, my lord, the court has newly been made aware of another party whose involvement in this matter is crucial or critical. Yes, Mr. Drebber. Gather information about the man if possible. I should like him served with a subpoena. With pleasure, my lord. Now, counsel for the defense. Yes, my lord. When we reconvene, I shall be looking for one thing and one thing alone from you. Evidence that the defendant is innocent of the crime for which he presently stands accused. I understand. Good. In that case, this court does adjourn until tomorrow morning. Well then. Mr. Naruto! Yes. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You were right. I tricked you. You trusted me. I dragged you into my mess. Oh, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry. Did you really have no idea, Professor? About what Mr. Drebber was really up to, I mean. About what he was really constructing. Naturally. That machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis, of all my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it. Alright, in that case, I won't say any more. Now, sadly the murder accusation against you still stands, so we must do as much investigation as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow. Oh, thank you for doing so much for me. Okay. I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruto. Are 6 million inhabitants in London and 2 of the jurors happen to have careers involved with the case? How many of those 6 million inhabitants are stage magicians and scientists? Look, a random selection. It's just by pure coincidence, okay? That they happen to be professionals in their respective fields to help guide the court into finding or shedding new light on this case. You know, just random selection. Arriving late? Didn't you receive my postcard? I wanted to let you know when I'd arrive. Postcard? What postcard? I hid it from you, Runo, so it would be a surprise. Well, did it work? I was surprised, alright, especially when she threw it to the ground. Oh dear, I'm sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that it sort of just slipped out. What? Your natural response is to flip your friend over. Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in the future. Susie's train was late into London Victoria this morning, you see. But we made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the whole trial. I was watching from the gallery for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Oh. Having you at my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm, delighted to see you. Back in London. Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruto. I'm delighted to be here. So, the final case of the last game, having a co-worker of the real killer being part of the jury. I hope I can continue to be of service to you. Of course, so what's brought you back? Did Professor Mikotoba not protest? Let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I've made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, how wonderful! I can't wait. Susato-san was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time. But despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn. Oh, the first case of this game having the wife of the gas company of the building being a jury member. You know, just, you know, random selection. Fate works in mysterious ways. Absolutely nothing suspicious going on with the juror selection. But I think I'll actually leave this here for tonight. It's gonna be a very long session or it's gonna be quite a while to do the investigative stuff and also the last trial. So I'll go continue this next time. So if it turned out that there was actually someone in the courthouse tampering the jury, you'd believe it. uh, you can also believe that the wife of the gas company owner buying her way into the jury. uh, yeah, that sounds plausible too, since they already suspect Shamspear of uh basically committing fraud with like faking his uh or was it with the whole ice coin operation thing. So to kind of like see further into that matter themselves, could have bought their way in onto the jury. That sounds that sounds possible. But yeah, I'll go close the game here for now. I don't think I'll be playing anything else tonight. Nah, not really in the mood for much else. So yeah, I'll just go leave it here.